Hi, this is Franz Nikolai, and you're listening to the Hood Rat Recap Podcast.
To a real nice girl who's made some not nice frowns. So, Lord, what would you prescribe to a real soft girl who's having real hard times?
So we started a podcast about the best bar band in the land, man. This is the Hood Rat Recap, and we are back with your steady stream of the unified scene, all the news and reviews of the band that you love, we love, and the heaviest stuff may not be that heavy by the time it gets to suburban Minneapolis. Or is it? Hello, everybody. This is Stage Right Mike on the mic, and I can talk hold steady all night. And when I like to talk hold steady heavy, I throw up the rat signal, and just like that, the Hood Rat Pack has assembled. And hark, that can only be the unified scene's very own King of Queens. And you know what, Gaspar? I usually say something clever here, but I'm not sure. Did you ever make it back to Queens, or are you still in my basement? Because I hope you're still not in my basement, because I haven't fed you in a while. But let's find out where he is. Gaspar, where are you?
I'm back home and doing pretty good, man. But you know what? I'm trying to get people to call me Prince in the Revolution.
Why is that, Gaspar?
Because I'm iconic, electric, and tight as hell.
How's that working out for you?
Not so good, man. Not so good at all. People keep calling me Randy Watson and sexual chocolate.
I think the ball is good.
I'm going to say that was your best Freddie Knuckles yet. I'm not even going to dog that. You know what? That boy good. That boy good.
I think the ball's doing good.
I think the boy's doing good. Good and terrible.
I kind of feel if you like them, then they weren't done well.
You know what? It was nice to have a palate cleanse of something that didn't suck. And for once, you didn't suck. Yay! That boy good.
All right, and that's the sound of our third mic and our producer, Kevin, is whenever. Kevin, how you doing, man?
I mean, I'm off to a good start. I feel happy. You did a great Freddie Knuckles, the best in all the episodes I've ever had to listen to. Well done. If you don't know Randy Watson and Sexual Chocolate, go to your local Blockbuster and get the VHS copy of Coming to America. Throw that in your... Wait, what am I saying? Watch that anyway.
The VHS copy.
Just watch Coming to America and you'll get the Randy Watson and Sexual Chocolate reference. But otherwise, I'm good. I've been busy traveling, but more so, I think you guys had like a little Blues Brothers kind of adventure, didn't you? It was like you two trying to save the world and bring music to Minneapolis.
Yeah.
We definitely did have an adventure. We missed you on this one,
Yeah.
Kev. This was some trip, man. This was the 20th anniversary celebration of Separation Sunday.
You know, one day I will travel with you guys on one of these road trips, especially now that I feel a little better, because I was worried that you'd be doing live Freddie Knuckles for our listeners and I would just have to react publicly. And that was tough. But I did get a lot of texts. I did see some photos. It was kind of like Laverne and Shirley, the two of you just kind of going all over. I got photos from different points of Minneapolis. I guess that started because you guys took part in a very cool treasure hunt that the band, or was it officially sponsored by the band? You got to kind of tell me how that all went.
I think it was First Avenue and the band kind of collabing on it.
Yep. So basically, this was the photo scavenger hunt as part of the celebration that the band and the venue put together. 25 locations across Minneapolis in the Hold Steady universe. Tying directly to this record and the story of Holly and Gideon and Charlemagne.
Please tell me you represented in the Hood Rat Recap 1, and like we are now the reigning scavenger hunt champions. Like we have the top podcast and the top scavenger hunt wins. Don't let me down.
Kevin, everybody said we were going to win the whole weekend, and if you want to know why, it's because Gaspar started posting our pictures, and I'm like, you're putting them all, you're putting 5 or 6 pictures together, right? And he's like, I don't know how to do that. So he posted every picture singularly. So we just kind of photobombed everybody. So everybody thought, we had so many posts, everybody thought we were winning by a ton just because we were all posting everybody.
We did get a shout out from the stage, though, from Craig Finn. We put up a very good showing, but everyone really got into this and had a lot of fun doing it. And
I feel like you set me up for that fact that we lost, that the Hood Rat Recap did not win.
We did not win. We did not win this.
There was just 2 of us. You needed 4 people to win, I think, right?
Yeah. But before we get into all that, this is probably a good place to acknowledge Scott Sheehan from Sheehan Explorations on Instagram, who his submission was a walking tour. And we're just going to play a little clip of that. So check this out.
Who are the musical acts of the Twin Cities and Minnesota? Pop, it's Prince. Singer-songwriting, obviously Bob Dylan. But then when it comes to bands, I tell a lot of people, check out the Hold Steady. And now they've done something to really prove my point to those people who are saying, because they sing a lot about Twin Cities. Let's go check it out.
So walking through the crystal court,
Walking over a bridge, the Green Belt Bridge, over the Mississippi River, in a brand new Minneapolis.
When I say I'm from here, I mean Minneapolis.
Where the Hold Steady.
we were born in this nightclub. Take Glendale to the horizon.
Doing this scavenger hunt this weekend.
Payne Avenue lives up to its
You
name.
can see some of the sites that are mentioned.
I was not involved up at the Northtown Mall.
25 sites around the Twin Cities. Thank you, Hold Steady.
All right. So, I mean, that was more of a visual medium, but you kind of get the idea of all the sites you get to hit. And we're going to link to that in our show notes. You should definitely go check out Scott Sheehan, Sheehan Explorations on Instagram, because he was a really cool guy. And the video was actually quite a lot of fun. But that gives you an idea of what we were out there to do. We were hitting iconic places like the Crystal Court, Mississippi River, Grain Belt Bridge, and Golden Gopher statue. And the list goes on, 25 locations. And we hit most of them.
So if the max total was 25 points, how many did the Hood Rat Recap podcast get?
So they didn't actually announce I'm not really quite sure why they did it the way they did, but they only kind of hit up the people who won. So no one really knows exactly how they did and how many points. But generally the way it worked was you got 1 point for each location, 1 point for each person in the photo, and then extra points for creative uses of Hold Steady lyrics, Hold Steady gear, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Gotcha.
Yeah. The spots we missed, Mike, do you remember what spots we missed?
Yeah, we missed Payne. Payne Avenue lived up to its name. We had Payne there. We missed that because it was kind of way insane. That was really like the only St. Paul thing, and we just didn't go over there for that. We didn't drive down the wrong way on 169, so we missed that. And we weren't involved at the Northtown Mall. We weren't involved at all, so we missed that one. Yeah.
Not at all. Which, ironically, all of those locations are double points. So.
Gotcha. So you guys left a lot of points on the table for the simple fact that you decided to take the easy way out. Now, this must have been like a dream for you, because this is probably as close as you could get to living your map and thumbtacks and yarn kind of life. Like, basically, this was you living what's been your whole dream since you got into this band, is mapping out this story of Charlemagne, and basically you kind of lived it walking through Minneapolis.
That's exactly what it was. I mean, it was so cool to see all these places and have a lot of fun. I mean, and Kev, we sent you some pictures. You can go to our socials and check them out on Instagram.
Yeah.
Just follow the hashtag SEPSUN20. Is the hashtag, and you'll see our posts. I think the best time we had was making a scene by the revolving doors in the Crystal Court. That was one of my favorite photos from that whole trip.
I did get that photo. It was quite funny, that one.
Yeah. And I thought this was going to be kind of lame-o. I thought we'd be going to some boring things, and I was seeing things. I've lived here my whole life, and I've lived in St. Paul my whole life. I was seeing all this stuff in Minneapolis that I didn't even know there. So now I'm going to say it again. I'm a St. Paul. I'm from St. Paul, but Minneapolis is definitely my second favorite city in the Twin Cities. Second favorite city in the Twin Cities. But
now, I saw a lot of photos of you guys with drinks in your hand. Did you get a drink from Patty when you went to Grumpy's?
We did not. When we went to Grumpy's, Patty was not there. He was coming in later that day, and we had to get to, I believe it was pub quiz day that day. So we got a drink from Christina, who was very cool. Some people did get a drink from Patty from Dillinger 4, and I was kind of jealous of that.
And they were playing Fiestas and Fiascos over the loud when we got there from Lifter Polar when we got to that bar.
So this wasn't a one-day thing. This was over the course of the whole weekend, this scavenger hunt. So you basically had the whole, weekend to make it happen.
We had what, Thursday, Friday, and till 7 p.m. Saturday, but we were at shows and stuff. So
right. So you were kind of like putting it into what you were doing.
Right.
I mean, it was definitely doable. It helps having a car. And thank you so much to Mike, who I dragged him all over Minneapolis, which is why I didn't break his chops about not going to those couple of spots. But one of the spots we went to that I think we should talk about is the Bob Stinson Bench. So, Mike, what happened at the Bob Stinson Bench?
That one was really cool because it was like one of the hardest ones to find. We kind of parked down by the creek going into the lake there, and it was kind of hidden. GPS just kind of said you're there, and we're like, well, where? We're not there. So I just pulled over at the sign of the road, and it ends up I did park at the parking spot just closest to it, but we didn't know that. We were walking all over, and then we saw some 3 colorful characters sitting on a bench, and we like, that's the only bench. That's got to be it.
So just to paint that scene, what was sitting on that bench was 3 crust punks. If you're unfamiliar with what a crust punk is, it's like picture piercings and like layers of clothing and not quite homeless, but not quite typically what you'd expect people to be dressed at. It was kind of weird approaching them. And we basically joked for the rest of the weekend that we met Holly, Charlemagne, and Gideon. And Mike actually grabbed a clip of that, so we're gonna play what that sounded like.
I thought it was gonna be an awkward conversation. It kind of started out awkward, but it was pretty sweet. They're pretty nice people. So should we play that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, does that bench have a plaque on it?
Yeah.
It does.
Oh, let me see. Yeah, there it is. I see it.
Hilarious. Are you here for this bench?
We are.
Would you mind taking us a picture of us?
Yeah.
I know you guys have a great day here. You're doing it right. You got the.
Are you doing the scavenger hunt?
Whoa, there's a scavenger hunt?
Yeah.
I don't think they are.
Wait,
Give me a phone.
Yeah.
we're here.
We were just here honoring Bob. Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, we hate to disturb you.
Oh, no. We're happy to share it with you.
Would you mind just taking a quick picture?
Yeah, big
Thank
time.
you so much.
You want to sing anything?
Do you need to hold an empty Heineken?
We should, yeah.
Yeah.
We sure do.
Do you want a full Heineken?
We're good. Thank you.
Here's the other one. There you go.
There you go.
You gotta get both your props. It's Bob's favorite beer.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys are awesome. Thank you so much.
So much. I appreciate it.
Go on.
Oh, wait, what's the scavenger hunt for?
The whole study are in town, so they put together a scavenger.
Yeah, there are 4 nights at the first. We're going to First Abbey right now, and this was one of the things of the scavenger hunt. We went to the replacement's house.
Yeah.
Dude, that's mad funny.
Where's that? It's on 2215 Bryan Avenue. If you go to Google Maps and just hit the replacement's house, it'll take you there. Yep.
Of all the days.
And that was pretty cool. Yeah. All right, thanks. Sit down, please. Thank you so much, guys.
Look at you guys making friends and fans everywhere you go. You should. I'm just a little disappointed, Gaspar, that you didn't give them like a podcast sticker or pitch the show to them, because usually everywhere you go, you have some kind of Hood Rat Recap tchotchke. And I think you missed a shot to have 3 new fans.
Believe it or not, I had forgotten the stickers.
These guys were too hard. These guys were hardcore. They were sitting down looking at the creek. They were drinking Heineken Tall Boys, some tall daddy sodas, and yeah, they were.
Yeah,
they look like.
I think it was funny that they didn't know where the replacement's house was yet. You guys.
So you bring that up. This was when we went to the replacement's house. That was one of the first places we went, actually, even before the contest started.
Yeah, we kind of cheated. We kind of said this is going to be on. We took some pictures before the contest started.
Don't tell people you cheated.
We didn't really.
I mean, I know it's after the fact now, but like, come on.
We didn't really cheat because we just guessed. We didn't have a list. We were just guessing. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Right.
Gotcha.
But what I found interesting was that Mike had never been to the replacement's house. I'm like, but you live right here. And like he's been a replacement fan a lot longer than I have. I was a little surprised by that.
And it was painted nice. It was in great shape. I mean, it was in better shape than it was in the picture. It was pretty cool looking. And yeah, well, I mean, I've never been to Mary Tyler Moore's house, and I guess it's only six blocks away from there. And
I was just going to ask you if you'd been to the Mary Tyler Moore statue at least, because then I'd feel like
we did hit that.
I figured you got there, but I meant Mike in his life of living. Have you never gone and taken a picture with the Mary Tyler Moore statue? And
yeah. And you know what? They got the baseball stadium's right down there, and they got some bronze statues of the most famous Minnesota Twins. So I was actually going to take a picture of one of them and go, "Oh, Mary Tyler Moore looks a little different." And I was going to do that, but we. but
yeah, man, this was a lot of fun to do. The contest was a blast. We do know a couple of the winners. I don't know all of them because there were several winners, but the one who took the main prize was Little Rock Lizzie.
Little Rock. Lizzie.
So Little Rock Lizzie's team was mostly just Lizzie, but Fur, who is one of the he is the guy who created positive posting on Facebook, and John and Mary Pat Bailey were integral in helping her out, shuffling around town. And I think the picture that clinched it for Lizzie was they went to the Quarry Mall, and outside the sign where there's this like big quarry rock, they hung the Weekenders banner.
Oh.
So like if you remember a while back, you were able to buy all the really huge banners like we take the pictures in front of every year. Mm-hmm. They had the Baileys had bought that one, and they decided to drape the Quarry Rock in the Weekenders banner, which made for an awesome picture. So rightfully so, they were the winners.
I didn't realize those banners are 12 feet by 12 feet. So if you think you're going to be cool and buy one and put it on your wall, you got to have 12-foot walls or 12-foot
Those
ceilings.
backdrop banners that cover a whole stage are bigger than you ever really imagine when you go out. And they're usually not the easiest to move around. They're kind of thicker than just your average flag. So they're not light by any means. So props to them for stringing that up. And you know what? They deserve to win. Yeah. You know what? They did better than you guys did.
And I believe one of the other winners was Team Sparkle Gang, which consisted of our very own Hurricane Jess and Ella and TK and Jeff. So congrats to them as well.
Now, I don't want to say anything, but Jess makes our artwork. You couldn't even recruit her to help you guys get through this scavenger hunt. You didn't pre-plan that to go, Jess, you're like an honorary Hood Rat recapper anyway. Could you help us?
I kind of think it worked out well the way it did. Like we were trying to recruit somebody, and then it just became me and him. And it's like, you know what? It was fun to do it with Mike. Kind of became a podcast thing, and I was happy to do it that way.
Yeah.
And,
the good thing is it didn't end like Thelma and Louise, because they drive off the cliff, and the two of you could have just been.
We'll get to that. We had to leave my driveway like the Dukes of Hazzard because, there was a big thing. There was a bunch of road construction all over Minneapolis because it is spring, so that is road construction season, and so there was road construction everywhere. And then when I was trying to get Gaspar to the airport went to leave Monday morning, they blew up my driveway, and I live 30 miles away from Minneapolis, but I'm getting a new driveway, but right now it's all blowing up. So we kind of had to do a little Dukes of Hazzard and go into the neighbor's driveway, half into their driveway. And we I got them there 3 hours early, but I was just so scared we were going to get boxed in. So I had to go there.
It was an adventure.
Yeah.
That sounds like it was a lot of fun, but then it all started the first day, which then ended, I imagine, with a Hold Steady show. Like, didn't you guys actually go see the band play that night, or did this start before any of the shows?
We cheated and we kind of went Wednesday night, right, Gaspar? So we didn't have a show.
Yeah, we did a little bit on Wednesday, but the contest officially kicked off on Thursday, and so yes, there was a show that night.
Okay,
and,
so this was Kevin. Let me just paint a picture for you. This is a weekend of First. So we're at First Avenue. I seen the Replacements house for my first time, and then Gaspar had cheese curds and Juicy Lucy for the first time. So we're going to talk about all these firsts this weekend. That's what we're talking about.
I mean, I've been to Green Bay, so I know the love of a good cheese curd. It's actually a big thing for them. So I imagine in Minneapolis, they're just as good.
They were really good. I heard they're supposed to squeak when you eat them. I did not hear it squeak, but they were very good. I was very happy with my cheese curds. Actually, not my first Juicy Lucy, though. I've been to Matt's before. The last time I was here, I went to Matt's by myself, actually.
Oh,
the first time. Yeah.
Did you sit in the Barack Obama? Because they have a picture in the second booth, because Barack Obama sat in the second booth, and they have a picture of him sitting there. So, Gaspar, I was going to ask you, which one made a bigger impression on you, Juicy Lucy or cheese curds?
I mean, the cheese curds were definitely a big splash for me this time around because they were new. Like I had never had those before, and they were really. And what's not to like? It's cheese and fried dough. It was great. But I enjoy the Juicy Lucy's at Matt's. I like Matt's as a vibe because it's a cool place. So I would say they came in a close second.
Nice. So the first show on Thursday, that was the 7th Street entry show, right?
Yeah.
That night?
Yep.
And they call that that's the smaller room where they're aside from what, So how is that? Because that sounds like my worst
It's
nightmare.
a very small, it's like two racquetball courts. Maybe it's like a racquetball court. And it's like,
I mean, you're talking about what's the capacity of First Avenue? Like 250 people.
Yeah.
Picture for our purposes, Mercury Lounge, but not as deep and more wide. So it kind of goes from left to right, but the same amount of people. And I want to say there was more than 250 people in there. That was the hottest show I have ever been at.
Yeah, there was a rainstorm moving in, so it was really humid, and there was 275 people shoved into this room.
Yeah.
I mean, at one of the nights you guys sent me a photo where you were clearly second row, first row, and you even said this is like your hell or something in the text.
That was Saturday night. We were right up there. Yeah.
Oh my God. None of it looked fun. So I could just imagine the small show at 7th Street entry. And I've seen it, if you watch Purple Rain, First Avenue's all over that movie. That's where a lot of it's filmed. So you can see how small it is to begin with. So
do they have, I don't think they have 7th Street entry.
No, they don't.
Though, right?
No, it's just First Ave.
So First Avenue is a pretty big room. First Avenue is along the lines of an Irving Plaza. Maybe even
I think it holds
bigger than
1550.
Plaza.
Yeah, 1,550.
Oh, really? I didn't think First Ave was that big. Interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty big. 7th Street entry is tiny. It's like a CBGB's, that type, real small and packed and hot.
All 6 of them were on. I don't know if they made this back of the stage deeper because every time I've seen them there, it looks like they're doing the tush push, and Gaspar doesn't follow sports, so he doesn't know what I'm talking about. But getting all 6 guys on the stage, they get in there pretty tight, but they had more room to move around this time, I think.
Yeah, it definitely didn't seem like they were on top of each other. It was a great show. And that was the night that Howard, our favorite character from the UK, I got to experience Howard firsthand because, man, is that guy a
fire plug
enigma. So Howard just kind of balls through a crowd and he just displaces you.
Yep.
And I'm a pretty big guy. It's not easy to move me. And I just was moved.
He usually comes in the 4th or 5th song, and like you said, he's 4 feet tall, he's 4 feet wide, he's just a human bowling ball. And whoever you're standing next to, you can see him later in the show because you're not going to be standing next to. He just reshuffles the whole deck. Everybody's in a different spot after he goes through.
Yeah. But what he does do is he does so with an armful of beers that he then hands out to people as he's displacing them. So it's really hard to get mad at Howard, and then when you try to say something to him, he just looks at you and goes, "I'm Howard."
Yeah.
So he's buying your position with a beer, and most Hold Steady fans, with the way they like to imbibe alcohol, probably are okay with that trade.
But that's just it, because he doesn't stay in one spot. It's not like, I'm going to push my way up front and occupy the front. It's the front, the sides, the back. He's just everywhere. It was pretty hysterical. It's
because he's Howard. And then I usually spend most of the time stopping fights going, that's Howard. You can't fight with him. He's Howard.
Right. So where exactly on night 1 did the Hood Rat Recap hosts end up standing? Were you
we were pretty close.
Were
we were
in front
second
of Craig? Does it not matter?
I was second. You were 2.5, I think.
Yeah, we were second row in front of Craig until Howard.
And we got reshuffled with Howard.
On front side. Yeah. But there was a pretty unique thing about this show. So Craig kind of joked saying that there's a little known ancient tradition that he was partaking in, which is when you're playing the celebration of the 20th anniversary of your second record, you have to play it backwards. And so they played the record backwards. Starting with Crucifixion Cruise and ending on Hornets.
So they didn't start with Resurrection, because that was the one flip, right? Because doesn't Resurrection close the actual recorded album?
That's correct. They went Crucifixion Cruise into Resurrection. And then it was backwards from there on out.
Which is kind of I guess they do kind of play together. And we recently just talked about Crucifixion Cruise as one of those songs that they kind of do have to go together when you play them, and we've seen them do it both ways. But I imagine if you're celebrating the 20th anniversary of your album, you're going to do it the way it's heard.
Right. We've seen them do those two songs separately, and we've seen them do Crucifixion Cruise as a standalone song. But in this case, it felt right to play Crucifixion Cruise into Resurrection because it was just a moment.
Right.
That build up to that to Tad's chord on that opening chord. It's the ringtone on my phone. It's my favorite Hold Steady song. So like that was amazing.
And then how was it to hear? Because even looking at the set list, they're doing that whole record in advance. So songs that are traditionally higher up, things like Sequestered in Memphis, which is usually in the top half of the show, now fall to the bottom.
Right.
Was that a weird thing, or were you just so in Separation Sunday mode that it was kind of like, this is cool, we could do this?
Yeah, it's just you're kind of thinking in your mind, you're like, okay, what song's that? Because like halfway through he says we're doing it backwards because like I said, he's switched up Crucifixion Cruise and How Resurrection really feels. He did them in order as backwards. So then by the fifth song he says we're doing this backwards because it's good luck or whatever to do your 20th anniversary show backwards. And then so it's kind of funny because the songs in order, but then you kind of have to guess them in backwards. So it's an extra challenge. Yeah.
It also means there's going to be confetti earlier than usual.
Yes, and there was.
See, I was going to ask how the confetti of the weekend was.
It was pretty strong, and I feel like it got stronger each night.
Interesting.
We were confetti moochers because we couldn't find confetti.
So you didn't bring stickers or confetti on this trip? Really?
Listen, I was doing a carry-on bag. I was packing for 5 days. So like it was tight. I was going to have it shipped to Mike's house. And he was like, no, we'll find it by us. And like, he's like, we'll get it from Party City. I'm like, Party City's closed. And he said, no, they're there. And they were not. And apparently Michael's does not sell confetti, nor does Target, nor does Five Below. So, but
all right.
What I will say is the record played backwards, that sequence it works. It works, I feel, just as good as playing it forwards. It was kind of cool.
I hope they release it on Bandcamp because I would want to really go back and listen to that again.
I agree.
I kind of almost feel like they have to because they're usually pretty good about that. So I will be looking for, hopefully next month, that'll be the Bandcamp release because I would definitely want to hear it. And then you really did get some other great songs that evening that kind of stood out, that made it. Not only did you get Separation Sunday in its entirety, but there was a couple other gems that you guys got to experience.
Yeah. I mean, Mike, what was the best song played outside of Separation Sunday that night?
Ooh. I guess I like sketchy metal, but I guess they went right from Hornets into sketchy metal, and that kind of worked for me. I really liked that a lot.
Yeah. I mean, for me, getting Big Sick was kind of pretty cool. I mean, that's a song that has been played a lot, but we have not heard it since 2014. They stopped playing it for a while. I mean, it's when I say a lot, I mean they've definitely played the song at least 50 times, but well, with the exception, I should say, of 2024's Massive Nights. We did get it there. But it's just one of those songs that you don't get so much anymore, and I love it, and it was kind of cool to get it in the set, in a small room.
Yeah, and you're going to see in these first couple nights, we get, I think we get the first 4 albums quite a bit, but then Sunday night kind of has its revenge with the last 2 albums. Yeah. And we'll talk about that when we get there.
So one of the things Craig says in his post, if you saw it, it came out today that we're recording this episode, that after playing Separation Sunday, they played at least one song off of every one of their records in this set. And I hadn't realized that while we were listening, but now that he says it and you look at it, he's 100% right. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, we got Sideways Skull, which was pretty crazy in a small little venue like that.
That's awesome. Well, did you see Jess? Was she at that show when they played Hurricane J?
Yes, she was.
Okay. Yeah.
We always equate that song to her, so it was nice that she was there to see it. And then for an encore, you got Parade Days, Constructive Summer, Chips Ahoy, and Killer Parties, which is really a fun 4 out.
And oddly enough, the second time I've heard Parade Days in 7th Street, because they did it the first time I went back at the 50th anniversary of First Avenue shows, and that was the first time I heard that song live, which was kind of cool. So it was serendipitous.
And because that was a Thursday night, generally the Thursday night shows start earlier and end earlier. What time did you guys get out of there? Or was that not the case for this one?
No, that was doors were at 7. Band was supposed to be on at 8. They actually hit the stage by 8:30, and that was
a long wait. It was hot, and
and there was no opener on that one, right? It was just an evening with.
No.
Yep.
They couldn't fit the equipment on the stage. There's no way.
And then after that, it was off to the Depot for drinks, which is right next door. Awesome place.
Nice. I did see a lot of photos for anybody who's listening and you didn't follow or you're not on our text chain, which you're not. There was a lot of photos of Gaspar with drinks in his hand and big smiles. So
there was a lot of drinking.
There was a lot of drinking and a lot of smiling from what I could see. And I guess that is sort of the theme of this weekend. So
not so much for Mike. Mike's not a big drinker. I know.
I didn't smile in any of the pictures either.
No, it really. So yeah, because you don't drink, so you have no reason to smile.
Well, I was driving the Subaru crisscross all over the Twin Cities. So yeah.
Mike mugged in these pictures so much that Martin had won a gift card while playing bingo, and he was like, I got to give you this gift card because your face made my weekend.
Which I guess takes us, that's a good segue, I guess, to Friday, right? Because Friday you guys had the pub quiz hosted by Martin. So how did that go? Did you guys win? Did you win anything this weekend? Let me just cut to the chase for anybody listening. We're half hour into the show. You guys didn't win shit?
No, we did not.
I'd like to apologize to all our listeners that you guys had the losing side of the Hood Rat.
And we had Galen, and Galen's really good, and we still lost.
I mean, we put up some good numbers, but so the exciting thing about this is that Steve Selvage's team won, which not only is that the first time he's won a pub quiz, it made it that now every member of the band has won at least one time. Matter of fact, I think they've all won each one because they've
gone 6 for 6 different winners and 6. Yep.
Yeah.
Wow.
So now I suppose the challenge is going to be who is going to be a returning champion.
Who's going to be the first? Right.
Right.
We should get them a little WWE belt that says pub quiz champion. We could get one made and then they could just pass it around year to year. Yeah. Kind of like a fantasy football trophy. You know, we get them
they should do
that.
Belt.
That's brilliant.
You know?
And Steve Salvage team won, even though Steve got a question about Tennessee wrong. So
that is true.
Really?
He got a question about Tennessee wrong. He did.
You know what? And when we interviewed him, I thought he was such an expert, but now clearly that's not the case. And he bamboozled all of us that episode where we were talking. So, any questions stand out? What did you guys get right? Give me something. Give me something that you did positive.
Mine were really easy. I got the Eagles song. We're talking about states. I said it took place. You had to pick which state it took place and take it easy. And that's obviously Winslow, Arizona. So I got Arizona.
Right. I can't remember off the top of my head the ones that I got right.
Were you guys on the same team though?
Yeah. All right. We were. I did my usual maybe 2. And the hive mind kind of got the rest, but
the album covers, he didn't do sketchy metal. They weren't metal album covers. They were Minnesota artists. So I got Lizzo, I got Soul Asylum,
right?
And then the Replacements was easy because everybody knows that one.
Mm-hmm. And then, what was the one with the bag over the guy's head? Do you remember that one?
Low? Was that Low?
Yeah, it was Low. You're right.
Because I thought it was Information Society, but nobody knows who the hell that is. So.
But I mean, as always, Martin put on an amazing quiz. It was challenging. It was so much fun. And I was so happy to be there. It was a great time.
Did you come in second at least?
We came in, I want to say 3rd.
It's getting deeper.
No, we were 4th.
You don't even remember. Okay. Were you on this weekend?
We were in the bottom half.
I'm glad you were there, Mike, because I feel like I would have gotten this weird report if I would have gotten.
We were one of the first ones to put our hands down.
We put up we stayed up there for a bit. We put up 63 points, and I want to say the winning team got 70 or 72, something like that. We didn't miss it by much, but it was what it was, man.
All right. Well, and look, I've never been, so I'm glad I could still say I'm undefeated when it comes to the pub quiz, whereas you guys haven't won yet. So
I think you would really enjoy a pub quiz, and we should definitely get you into one of those. And people were asking for you all weekend. They really were.
Yeah,
I'd like to thank everybody that was asking. You know,
Kevin is whenever, Kevin is wherever. We don't
That's
know.
it. That really was. It was a very busy week. So then, where'd you go after the pub quiz? Did you go to the pub and drink until the show? What happened?
We did. We did. But before we leave the pub quiz, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that. So it was Rachel's birthday. Rachel from Seattle, and So the band and everyone there sang happy birthday. So happy birthday, Rachel. It was kind of cool to do that with you.
Happy birthday, Rachel. I would sing to you, but it's past the point now. So just know that I couldn't be there. But I wish you happy birthday if you're listening. If you're not listening, then you don't hear this anyway. So
that was great. And then I have a little funny story leaving the pub quiz. So, it's in the depot, which is attached to First Avenue. So, like, as soon as it's over, Craig goes through the back way, like through the Bat Cave, like he's done it a million times before. So then I go up front. They made us leave to go outside to get in line. I go out inside and get in line. And then Franz and Steve come walking by. Then they come walking back in the other direction. And then they're like, we don't know how to get in there. I was like, why didn't you follow Craig? Craig took the Bat Cave. Like, he did it a million times before, and they couldn't find their way into the venue.
Yeah. And so then it was time for the first night in the big room.
Did you guys have anything good for dinner that night? Anything stand out between pub quiz? Usually when we go to
was the
massive nights, we eat. All right. Because usually when we go to massive nights, we eat at the club. I didn't know if you guys had any standout.
No, we kind of kept it light. I think we went, like you said, we ate at Matt's, and then I think we ate after the show. So we kind of kept it light for the show.
All right, so now you get inside. Where are you guys standing for night 2? Not in the back where I would be, so I just tried.
No, definitely not.
I know.
We were like 5th row, and this. So there was a chance my girlfriend was going to come with us to this show, but she took one look at me and Gaspar.
Oh yeah,
and decided not.
So
we were wearing both.
Yeah, just to explain that. So the Discord guys had put out that they decided that this was going to be first night, even though first night was in the small room. That was hard to get tickets to, so they called first night the first night in First Avenue, and they made it a prom night. So the bit was that everyone was going to wear their worst, like, 70s prom gear.
I feel like this is one of those things that sounds like a good idea, but then it's not really a good idea, and then in execution it gets worse. That's just my.
It was fun. I mean, people participated, and ironically, they did not play first night on first night. So that was a miss. But I mean, there was like Matt and Sue from California actually dressed up in like, if you picture in your head what a 70s tuxedo looks like that's what
Dumb
he was
and Dumber,
rocking.
yeah.
And had sashes dubbing themselves the king and queen of the prom, which was kind of funny. And people wore gowns and stuff. And Mike, what did we wear for prom night?
We wore our t-shirt tuxes, both of us.
My God. See, and this is why I can't travel with you guys, because you know who would not be wearing a t-shirt tux? This guy.
Yeah, my girlfriend took one look at us and she bailed too.
You know what? I would have been like, I'm with you. I mean, I can't falter. So was everybody dressed up, or was it just if you were in the Discord? So it was like 8 of you.
I'd say at least a third of the crowd, if not more, was
so
dressed.
That's good. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And then,
so we had our first opener for that show.
Right? That was someone called the Scrunchies.
Yeah. So Scrunchies are like a Minnesota-based. I kind of call them Riot Girl. They're not really Riot Girl. What would you call them, Mike?
The group they reminded me the most of was Wet Leg. I think they kind of had a little, because they were kind of a dramatic. She would sing. They were good. I loved them. She would sing in dramatic phrasing, kind of over really good bass line. Oh, and their drummer was brand new. A woman from another band, and they got to keep her because she was amazing. So it was her first show playing with them, and they played flawless. I couldn't believe it. Yeah.
That was the Scrunchies, an all-female group, or was
the bassist was male?
Yeah, the bassist was male. Yeah,
the brand new drummer was female, and the lead singer and guitarist was female, and she was very dramatic. Fit in good with the whole steady.
They were a trio.
Yeah.
Yep.
Interesting.
Power trio. Yep.
But they were fun, and definitely check them out. You can find their stuff on Spotify and Apple Music.
They're the post everything rock and roll trio from Minneapolis.
Oh, yeah. Awesome!
Formed in 2018.
All right. Well, we'll have to check them out. And then, how was the reason you guys were all in that room? How was the whole steady show that night?
Ooh, so now we get Separation Sunday in order.
So it doesn't start off with Separation Sunday. They kick it off with Constructive Summer, which is always a great way to start the show. Go into the Swish, and then we got Separation Sunday in order.
Gotcha. That's kind of cool. So now you've heard it both ways.
Right.
Do you have a preference live?
I mean, I'll take it either way. It's one of my favorite records of all time. So I'm good backwards. I'm good forwards as long as I get, how a resurrection really feels. Really, I'm kind of happy.
Well, and that means you got Crucifixion cruise into Resurrection twice because it looks like they played it that way both times.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then the rest of the show was basically hits. I mean,
yeah, they came in with Chips Ahoy right after that. Blackout Sam, which is getting kind of rare these days. We're starting to hear it. I don't think I've heard it since Salt Shed.
Yeah, but that's always welcome. That's a great song. Carlos is Crying, which people seemed into. It's, that continues to be a song that people like. It doesn't have the hype that some of these songs have, but not all of them need the hype.
I mean, also just getting back to Separation Sunday in entirety, now you were throwing Confetti, song 6. That's very early in the show for Confetti. I don't know that.
It kind of works. It spreads it out more. I kind of like it.
All right. Guys, if you're listening, you can give us a Confetti song in the first 8 per Mike. He enjoys it. Not that they brought their own. They just glommed off everybody else. Thank you to everybody in the room that gave the Hood Rat guys confetti to use.
All he's ever really asked for is Party Pit in the Encore. That's really what it is.
Yeah.
We're getting there. And then I see really like probably the latest I think I've ever seen it is Sequestered in Memphis. Song 19 at that point. Like literally it's 2 songs before the encore where you also got Josh out right after. So
yeah.
I mean, like you said, I think when you're playing Separation Sunday in its entirety, it kind of moves the set around in a way that you don't really experience it. So you are getting these songs pretty late, which makes for a pretty epic show.
Yeah. And then for the encore, I love when they start with the feelers and then they went Ask Her for Adderall, which I just love. And then You Can Make Him Like You and Killer Parties. And so here we are into the second night and we have no weekenders yet, which I thought was I noted that. Seemed kind of interesting to me.
Right.
All right. And then after the show, to the bar? Or did you go right home?
After the show to the bar. that was pretty much the routine all weekend.
Now, did you guys run into the band at any of the bars or did they...
That's later in the weekend.
Yeah, we'll tell you about a run-in that we had at the end of the weekend, but there wasn't really meetups that we were aware of afterwards.
But Steve
did come into the depot. He did.
Those guys were kind of walking in and out of the depot a little bit, and they were just everybody just kind of left them alone, kind of pretty much.
Oh, that's cool. And then what'd you do Saturday during the day?
I got up early, and by 9 a.m. I was doing a run with the Hold Sweaty Bill's group, Bill Childless group, and we did a 5K and we ran down to the Mississippi River and then we drowned ourselves and we turned around and ran back.
Were you in shoes or no shoes?
I have a sand shoes, no shoes.
Wow. Yeah, how'd you do on the did you do the run steady?
Oh, I didn't get out of bed till like 11. It was fantastic.
So Mike was Hold Sweaty and you were Run Steady. I got it. Let's see how that went.
He was REM steady. Yeah, sleeping.
Snoozing away.
He was probably back from his 5K before your ass even got out of bed, I'm sure. Like he did his whole race.
He had just finished showering, so then I just had to hurry up in the shower. Then we had to go finish up quickly because it was our last chance to finish up the scavenger hunt.
Scavenger hunt?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. I'm surprised you guys didn't do any more cheating. You could have had that all. Did you take any photos while you were doing the run for the scavenger hunt, Mike? While you're at the Mississippi River, you could have gotten one out of the way.
He took a group shot.
We do run under. Yeah, we took his group shot. We do run under Finn Avenue, but I don't think last time we tried taking a picture of that and it didn't turn out. And then when I got down to the Mississippi River, there was like a whole bunch of rowing boats going by, and I tried taking pictures of them, but they were going so fast, I kept missing them. So, but there was like 20, 30 of them. It was pretty crazy.
Nice. So you guys regrouped after your morning of exercise and Gaspar's morning of sleeping.
Yeah.
And got it. And so then you went and did some more scavenger hunt stuff, which was your final chance. And then that was the day of the Q&A?
Yeah. So then we went into First Avenue. They did a little differently this time. So they laid out some chairs on a stage. So it was the band and Dean Baltulonis, who was one of the producers of the band. And they had a local writer who was interviewing them, and that was very cool. Like, it was just a straight Q&A where he just went through Separation Sunday and, recording it and getting some really cool stories from that. Mike, do you remember anything particular that was said during the Q&A that stands out to you?
It was interesting. They kind of told how Bobby and Franz had laid down like 2 songs. And then when Craig got there, they said, we just did 2 songs. I was like, okay, I guess I got to write lyrics for 2 songs. And
yeah,
it was kind of interesting. They did it in 30 days. And I think they were partying pretty hard those 30 days. And it was a very time plentiful of work and partying, I think, is what we got out of it.
Yeah. One of the interesting things they said, and like, Kev, this will probably make more sense to you, but so they didn't demo for this record. Like, they legitimately got 30 days in the studio and went in and played, and it sounds like wrote some of the songs while they were recording. Craig kind of tells a story about how French Kiss had negotiated a 30-day like free period of studio time for them with Gigantic Studios, which later was under debate whether it was a free 30 days. And he said that they basically won that debate by numbers. Like, your number.
I imagine at some point the label was like, we're going to charge them for this studio time and make it recoupable. And then that's money that we could charge the band and say we paid for studio time, even though they may not have. I mean, that's unheard of by most standards. Most people write songs and then they get to the studio and then they pre-pro them and they demo them and then they actually go record them at some other time. So to sit in a room, which is what sometimes people think happens, and just play a song and that becomes what you hear on record is a real rarity. So to hear that some of the stuff that we know on this 20-year-old record that we love was created that way is really impressive.
Yeah, very cool. And so then from there, it goes from a straight Q&A to they move the chairs, and now they're doing what we normally know as a soundcheck party, where they're just going to play songs, in kind of a more, I'd say 60% speed, you know what I mean? Like, they're more mellow. He's saving his voice and stuff, but they did it in an interesting way this time.
So it wasn't that, because usually when we see the Q&A, like, they'll play a couple of songs and then whoever's doing the interview will ask some questions and then that'll tie them into the answer. We'll bring them to the next song. So this was just all questions. How long did the Q&A part of the party last?
About a half hour, 45 minutes, I would say.
Yeah, it was
right?
pretty extensive,
Yeah.
And then how much did they play afterwards? Because usually the soundcheck party is like an hour and 10 minutes. It's not usually very long. I mean, it's long by standards, but generally in an hour they're done. So if they did a half hour, 45 of just Q&A.
Yeah, and something else we should mention, I think there's usually 100 people at soundcheck, and I think this one had 200 people. Does that sound right to you guys?
It was their biggest soundcheck ever. They made a point of saying that. So whatever they normally do, I mean, I'm always bad at judging crowds. I've said that at soundcheck seemed like 50 people to me at massive nights, but if it's 100, then yeah, this crowd was 200. It was double the size for sure. Wow. And they play pretty long. I mean, they play a dozen songs, so that's a pretty solid set. Like, that's got to be 45 minutes to an hour, no?
I mean, at 5 minutes a song as a general rule, even 3 minutes a song at 12 songs, you're still at 40
and they ended
minutes.
with Oaks, so
right.
Yeah.
So it was about an hour and a half, maybe the whole thing, but you did get sort of a different. For a while, their soundcheck parties were kind of the same set from city to city. So this felt like, I mean, it looks like they started with 212 Margaritas, which was probably
that's crazy.
While we're on 212 Margarita, that was Mike Prouse's White Whale. He was hanging out with us, standing right behind us, and like tapped us on the shoulder, like, "This is my White Whale," which is kind of cool because it's like we did that whole episode. But
good for you, Mike. Got it right there.
Yeah.
See, that would have sucked. I would have felt bad for Mike if he didn't. Did they play it at any other point or just during the soundcheck? Because it would have sucked if he didn't go to the soundcheck party. And
they play it.
Oh, did they play it? All right. At least they played it during the weekend then too.
Yep.
So,
but not quite in the same way, I would say.
Yeah.
We get it in a more mellow version later.
You also get Grand Junction.
Well, what they were doing is they were trying to like connect every song to the last song in some weird way. So so they went from Grand Junction and they said, let's stay in Colorado, and then they did Denver Haircut.
Yeah. It didn't seem like they had a set list. They basically were playing this game where it's like, I'm going to play a song, and then someone else in the band has to come up with a song that ties to that song.
Yeah, and then people in the crowd started yelling out song titles, and then Craig says, well, if you yell it out, I'm not going to play it.
That's very interesting. And then they played the Weekenders at Soundcheck during that party too, correct?
Yes, and that's the first time of the weekend we got the Weekenders. So here we are way into Soundcheck of the third show before we get the Weekenders.
Gotcha. And then from there, do you stay in the club or do you guys leave and then come back?
We left and we went to the Depot again. It's kind of like Brooklyn Bowl where we just keep going to the same restaurant. We went to the Depot again, and then we just kind of ate. Or no, me and you went and got pizza. I made you go get New York style pizza.
Yeah, we got pizza in Minneapolis.
New York style pizza in Minneapolis. How did that go?
I mean, it resembled.
What does he say?
It definitely looked like pizza.
Okay.
And it was kind of wild because I don't think I've ever been in a pizzeria that has like the glass up between you and the people serving you.
Well, they couldn't figure out how to charge us because the guy that, so I actually paid like 5 minutes after we were done eating. So I finally got
the guy working the register didn't know how to work the register. It was interesting.
Wow. Okay. Free pizza when you go to Minneapolis.
And we got a free parking night too. We'll talk about that later. But
yeah.
So then that show that night, generally the Saturday show was a cover band. Did you get a cover band on this one, or was it an original band?
No, this was a cover band, or I would say more tribute band, right?
Interesting.
Yeah, and they were kind of they don't play a lot. What it was is it's a lot of all-star Minneapolis guys from Halloween, Alaska. I recognized him and stuff. A bunch of guys that are in other groups, and they only play like maybe 4 or 5 times a year whenever they all get together, and their lineup kind of changes. But what did you think, Gaspar? I think they were my favorite cover band out of.
Yeah. I don't think there was anyone not liking this band. I mean, just to give you an idea who they are, I grabbed a little blurb on them. The band's name is All Tomorrow's Petty. Is a really tight and pretty awesome Tom Petty tribute band. The rotating cast of core players has been known to include J.T. Bates, James Dyers, Jake Hansen, Jeremy Hansen, Brian Nichols, and Rob Scoro. Known for their work with the beloved Minnesota-born bands such as Alpha Consumer, The Cactus Blossoms, Halloween Alaska, Haley, and Dead Man Winter, among others. They were tight as hell. I mean, like, they played all the Tom Petty songs you would want to hear. I even got You Don't Know How It Feels, which you know is my favorite. That's a karaoke song for me. Mm-hmm. Yes, there are karaoke moments from my past.
Did you do any karaoke in Minneapolis? Did you bring your
skit? We did not. But I'm chomping at the bit to put together a Hold Steady karaoke. We got to talk about that one day.
We got so many Hold Steady projects going in the works right now.
It is doable.
Yeah. But they were great, and they really put everyone in a great mood for the show.
Now, was this a later start? Was this 9 o'clock tribute, 10 o'clock Hold Steady?
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah.
And they were bringing people up to sing like the Stevie Nicks part and Stop Dragging My Heart Around, and she was amazing.
I don't remember
the female
her
guitarist,
name.
she had a 12-string, so it sounded a little different, but man, was she a proficient on that. She was amazing.
Wow. Yeah, and then how was the Hold Steady that night?
So that was an electric night. There was something in the air. I feel like that was the show. It was just at another
Do you guys agree with me? Do you think Saturday night's kind of becoming like big hitter night, like big hits night, like greatest hits night? And then they throw in, but not, I guess I'm not being fair because they do more than that. They throw in stuff that you don't expect either. I mean, Saturday night's just starting to become where they really swing for the fences, I think.
Yeah, and they definitely did here. I mean, this show was on another level.
And usually the Saturday night show tends to be the biggest party songs of the catalog kind of combined into the 25 they pull generally. So it seems like everybody's dancing from start to finish when you get into what the Saturday night show, not that the other people aren't dancing, but I kind of agree with you. The show starts later. It's more of a vibe. And I kind of feel like what you're saying is true when you get into the Saturday night show. They're really trying to make sure that for the entirety you're
I mean, when you look at the set list, they're starting it's banger after banger. They're starting off with Stuck Between Stations, and you're getting, like you say, all these hits.
And like we said, And then they had the Minnesota Horn Steady featuring Nelson and Jake. And this Nelson, on the saxophone, he is, he's been backing up Craig on the solo shows. He looks like Andy Samberg from Saturday Night Live. Did I say his name right? It's Andy Samberg, right? He looks just like him, and he's electric on stage. I can't keep my eyes off him. He's so good at that distressed saxophone. He's amazing. And they were on stage for half of the. Yeah. They just didn't get off. Usually they get off the stage. They pretty much stayed on for half the songs. So there'd be 8 guys on stage, and later we're going to talk about it, but we got 10 people on stage at once, and it was pretty electric.
So this night they didn't play Separation Sunday in its entirety. This was just...
this was
Big Hair's night.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they really swung for the fence. I mean, I think we need to jump into the highlight of the night. Like, what happened, Mike?
Yeah, we get 10, like I said, the Horn Steady's up there, so there's 8 of them up there. But then we get 10 up there for Chill Out Tent. We get 2 guest singers, and one of them is from the original that's recorded on the album, is Dave Perner from Soul Asylum.
I saw that you guys texted me a photo as that was happening, that he was there, and I was like, if I had FOMO at all about the weekend, I'm such a Soul Asylum fan. I just bought their live album on Record Store Day and vinyl, which is one of my favorites, but knowing that he was there singing it as the OG singer, that was the one moment I kind of like, I've seen a lot of this stuff, even $40 I've seen, but the fact that Dave Perner was there singing Chill Out Tent really.
And then the female singer was Megan Kreidler from Kiss the Tiger, who opened up. Kiss the Tiger opened up for the Hold Steady back on the 50th anniversary at First Avenue, and she's just she's all energy. She's got the ripped stockings, and she's just all energy, smiling the whole time she's singing. She's great too. So, I mean, it was just, the Horn Steady was up there for that. So there's 10 of them on stage, and all 10 of them were electric, I felt.
Yeah, and that was one of your guesses for opening acts too.
Yeah, I thought Kiss the Tiger, but I guess that wasn't. They opened up for him last time there at First Avenue, so maybe it was kind of a poor guess. But it was great to see her come back, and she sang without notes, and Dave he had folded up notes that he sang with.
Yeah, he had to read the lyrics off a sheet. It was kind of funny.
You know what? I don't fault him for that. I mean, unfortunately, the last time I got to see Chill Out Tent was the Michael Imperioli version. So at least now you have the Dave Perner version as your most recent memory, and nothing against Michael. He's a great actor.
Right.
And I'll leave it as a great actor.
The fact of the matter is like we have not heard Chill Out Tent since that show.
True.
It's been a bit more of a rare show, a rare song rather. I think it's only ever been played 38 times in the history of the song.
Wow.
And so, yeah, like it was, I think like you could hear the reaction of the crowd. Like it was just a big moment. It was just one of those. I turned to Mike and I'm like, poor Beth, because I know Beth loves when people guest on these on Chill Out Tent. I'm like, that was one to see.
Was Beth not there? She missed this one.
So yeah, no. Beth and Kat went to Philly to the Sing Us Home event, which is Dave House's festival, and it looked like they had an incredible time, but they were definitely missed at the Minnesota shows for sure.
For as great as the time they had, you know what they didn't get? Dave Perner singing Chill Out Tent. You know what I didn't get? Dave Perner singing Chill Out Tent. Sucks.
I have a little trivia question for you guys. So me and Gaspar went and saw the Replacements house. We went and saw the Bob Stinson Bench. So it was a very Replacements heavy weekend. What is Dave Perner's connection to the Replacements?
That I don't know.
So the Replacements had a little song. They started out their second album. Stink was their second album. And they started it out with Kids Don't Follow, where Paul Westerberg was kind of making fun of U2 because they had I Will Follow. And he had Kids Don't Follow. And then at the end, a Minneapolis policeman who seriously has, I thought it was an actor, and I'm like, they shouldn't have done that because he has the Fargo accent. He's like, you kids go home. And he goes, and nothing will happen. And then you hear a very young kid scream, F you, except he doesn't say F you. He says the real thing. And that young kid was Dave Perner. And he said that on Craig Finn's podcast. Craig Finn asked him about that, and he said, yes,
that's
that was
right.
true.
Yeah.
Wow.
I do remember that now. You're right.
Yeah, the young kid that tells the cops to F off was Dave Perner.
That's
amazing.
And here he is. Yeah.
Yeah, and then he joins them again for killer parties, which is cool. Seeing him play with that, and it made it such a special night.
And then I was hoping Winona Ryder would come on stage for the Easter date, but she was nowhere to be found.
One of the things I wanted to ask was, so $40 gets played in this set. So it's the third time $40 has been played, and it kind of seemed appropriate, right? We got it at Massive Nights. That was a big moment. They did it in the Weekenders because that just seemed right to do. And now they brought it home in Minnesota. Do you think this is the last hurrah for $40? Do we put $40 away now, or does it become part of the set?
I don't know. I think Modesto is getting, used to never get played, and then now it's like gets played quite a bit. I think it could be the new Modesto. I don't know.
Right.
I was thinking that too, because now, look, I know Craig has said, and we've been at Q&As where he's kind of talked about that song. I don't know. I don't think you add it 3 times and then just kind of lose it for good. I feel like it'll be a once per weekend type of event because it still feels big. I'm sure everybody that was in that room that night that wasn't at the Weekenders and wasn't at Massive Nights and has heard it, it was like, shit, they're playing $40. I kind of feel like that pop is cool. And I think every now and then, I don't think it goes away at all. I think we'll see it more and more often. Maybe not every sort of weekend takeover thing they do, but I do think it becomes more prevalent in set lists where it's not white whale status anymore. I think people will get a chance to see it.
I mean, I hope so. It would follow suit like the way the Cutters was not played for so long, and then they just started playing Cutters every now and again, and you still get it every now and again. It would be kind of cool for it to be like that.
Yeah, I mean, look, you got a ton of bangers that show. Unpleasant Breakfast, Don't Let Me Explode, Sequestered with the Horn Steady, which is always a blast when they have the horns in that song. It's fun. And then I imagine Killer Parties with Dave Pirner had to be something pretty wild.
Yeah, it was explosive.
So like I said, Saturday night seems to be the big hitter show. And I like what the other Kevin from Chicago Never Seems Tired last night. He, like what he says the best Hold Steady show is always the next one. But then he said, God damn, this one might have been it. And he's going to have to call in and say that because I'm not doing it justice the way he says it.
But he's absolutely right. I know the sentiment he's getting at, and he's 100% right.
And just because I wasn't there, but I'll feel like I was there, they came out with the Bay City Rollers as usual every Saturday night.
No, that didn't seem to be a thing. I don't think there was walkout songs for any of these. At one point, they were playing a radio station, if I'm not, or was that part of the song, was the radio station bit?
Because usually Saturday night is always the Bay City Rollers.
I don't know. It must not be like a First Avenue thing. I thought they were playing Somebody to Shove by Soul Asylum on Friday night, but I could be wrong.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So like the thing about First Avenue is that it's not like they come walking out like they do in Brooklyn Bowl and many other venues. There's like it's not really a curtain, it's a screen.
And they're
showing
you
like what's, and like, so they're on stage and the screen goes up and they're there and they go into the first song.
Yeah. And for a moment, they're in silhouette. They're in blacklight. And I kind of wish they would do that for the first minute of the song until they get into the chorus and then have it go into full color. I think that would be amazing, I think.
Mike wants his Hold Steady journey moment.
I was just going to say, like, he's literally doing the stage production and he wants to, he's creative consultant for the future Hold Steady shows. So, guys, if you hear this, Dave, play in the dark silhouettes only behind the screen and then lift it. It'd be a big moment for him. He likes the reveal, A lot of bands do that. He's a big into the reveal. So then I imagine late night, after party drinking, of course, because that's what you guys do.
Yep.
So where Saturday's usually the end, you guys had a Sunday event.
Yes.
For Massive Nights, and most of the weekends things end on Saturday. But for you guys, you had a Sunday. What was that like?
So this was a very different vibe. This was pretty cool. Mike has been to this type of show before. This was my first. But tell us about the Fine Line, Mike.
Yeah, so the Fine Line is, I think it holds 700. I forgot to look it up. But
so the Fine Line's still bigger than the Thursday night venue.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Okay. Right.
It's got to be 3 times bigger. And I have a little Stephen King story about the Fine Line. Do you guys remember the year? I can't remember what year it was, but when Great White had the the pyrotechnics, the nightclub fire in Rhode Island. So, how often do you hear about nightclub fires? So they had that one. And then later the same night, Chicago had a nightclub fire. And then I think it was even later that night still, the Fine Line was closed for a while because they had a nightclub fire. Nobody was hurt in the Fine Line one. It was just a ceiling. It's a lot of brick building. So, and then we haven't heard of nightclub fires since then, but we had 3 in 24 hours, which was really
crazy.
Yeah.
This was like a storyteller's show, right? Was it acoustic or electric?
So it's electric, but it's more mellow. They're not playing at a high volume. This is where
they're sitting down. Except for Craig.
In some cases, they're sitting down, and like this is where, like Mike had brought up before, Charlemagne and Sweatpants, it got retuned and became that more kind of jazzy version of Charlemagne. Like that's what they're aiming for. They're playing songs that are a little less played. They're playing mellower songs.
So Charlemagne and Sweatpants, I don't know how they've done it, but they made it so it's like a little hood rat, where it's kind of the penultimate song. And then instead of Killer Parties, they play Oaks for the final song.
Right.
And both those songs come off so strong, it's like you don't even miss Killer Parties or Hood Rat at all, because they make them so well. Yeah.
But like that's not to say you don't get an amazing set. Like this is they kick off the show with Hanover Camera. I went and looked it up, and according to Setlist FM anyway, this is the first time Hanover Cameras played outside of New York City. They've only played it a handful of times, and they've always played it in New York. So it was very cool to get that. I love that song anyway. And then you get songs like Multitude of Casualties, but like in this kind of more mellow vibe. It was cool to hear it that way.
Yeah, and Steve, for a lot of the songs, had the glass on his finger. And
the slide. He's doing the slide,
Doing the slide, slide notes. Just to end this set, here's the type of songs you get: The Sweet Part of the City, then Into Perdido, Distortions of Faith, Me and Magdalena, A Slight Discomfort, which, what did you think about that? And then we go into Charlemagne and Sweatpants and Oaks. So what did you think of Slight Discomfort? Did that stand out to you at all, Gaspar?
Absolutely. I mean, I haven't heard that song since they were playing it for Heaven Is Whenever. And it's a song that's only ever been played like 32 times, but mostly in 2010. We haven't heard it as a podcast, like meaning us together in any version of this podcast that went to see the show. Like we've never seen them play it. And this is the song that Mike Hayes, I mean, Mike, you've never met Mike Hayes, but Kevin knows Mike pretty well. Almost every time I go see a Hold Steady show that he's aware of, I get a text message the next day when he looks at the set list and he's like, what's it going to take for this band to play Slight Discomfort? So, Mike, this was the show you needed to be at. And if they do a Storytellers out in LA, that's the show you need to go to for sure.
So, because Perdido is a favorite of mine, I talk about it all the time. How was that in this? Was it sort of similar to the version you hear on the record, or did they sort of, play with it a little?
The last two records, I think, play the best to this Storytellers set. So of course that one fit in really good. I think it was even a little more jazzed up, a little more jazzy sounding. You say, Gaspar?
Yeah. But I mean, it definitely it's close to what's on the record.
Yeah. And you also got the Ambassador at this, which is a song that's kind of a rarity.
Right. Yeah. We haven't heard that in a while, and actually we got a pretty cool story with that. So they went to Tad, who's the one who brought that song to the sessions where they were, preparing for this record. And in his mind, he saw it as more of like a Lungfish song, which I had to go look up Lungfish to see what they were like. But it's definitely more of a, are you familiar with Lungfish, Mike?
No.
Okay. So it's more of like how would I put it? It's guitar driven, but like not like raucous. It's like trying to think how I would put you go listen to Lungfish and you'll see what I mean. And I could hear that in this song. But what ended up happening was Josh Kaufman was like, no, we're going to rework that. And, but the interesting story that came out of it is that Franz and Steve each had written a part for the song that winds up being part of the chorus that interweaves like perfectly with each other, but they did it independently of each other. Like they didn't know that they each was writing the same song and, the same part of the song. And so it came together, and it was like almost kind of magic the way that came together. I thought that was a pretty cool story.
Now, is this a nighttime gig or is this a daytime gig?
It started at 5.
Yeah.
Kind of late matinee.
Which is kind of, I'm not going to lie, it's kind of nice to have the early show after this crazy weekend.
And ready for this, Kevin? We were sitting down.
Yeah. This was a seated event. Yeah.
I would have been all about that. See, that's right up my alley. Give me a whole steady show with chairs.
It felt good on the fourth night, I'm not going to lie.
Because you know what? Chairs means no confetti. Like that. You might have just had my ideal hold steady show.
I think you would really like those shows.
You would love it.
That'd be great to see them in a theater like that.
And you get these fun stories, like they stop and talk a little bit about, either what the song's about or recording it, or Steve tells a great story about Parade Days, which I never knew. Steve brings that song to that record. And he had seen that as more of a rocker, and it just didn't work as a rocker, and it kind of got retooled. And so he says when he hears the record for the first time, Parade Days comes as an outtake. It's almost like a bonus track. And he's like, well, what the hell is this? And then he's like, oh shit, the song made the record. Like got to hear it like us for the first time with the lyrics and everything.
Before he was in the group, he'd hear the Hold Steady, and that was like this because he got to hear it before.
I mean, that's pretty awesome. And I imagine because of the way they're retooling these songs, you're also not getting the 100% animated Craig Finn performance. Like, the gestures, I imagine, are a little more subdued, and he's a little more.
He gets into it. Charlemagne in sweatpants. He kind of.
Oh yeah. All right.
I would say, to me, it's closer to what it looks like when Craig's doing a solo gig. Like he even dressed like he did for the solo gigs. Bobby, we should point out, Bobby came out in a shirt and tie and jacket, which was pretty wild looking. You don't really expect to see that out of Bobby.
He's got his new 651 drums that are see-through. They look pretty badass.
Yeah, they were pretty cool. They were pretty cool.
And then after this show, back to the bar? Or because it was Sunday, no bar?
No, we wound up...
this was our latest night yet to get Kevin in your house.
And it's funny because we didn't intend for it to be that way. So the show ends and it's 8 o'clock?
Yeah.
I mean,
7 o'clock?
5 o'clock showtime, I would imagine. 7:30, you're out the door.
The night kind of turned into you ever see Lost in Translations or Swingers where they just keep going from one place to another?
You got your soul money.
We had that scene later, at the Tiki Bar.
Yeah. So before that, though, we wound up going to a place called Red Cow, which is like a kind of meat-heavy restaurant. But the whole venue practically turned out to Red Cow, and so we just took over this section, and it was kind of fun. It was a good time to get to talk to everybody from the scene and stuff. And I will say this, if you find yourself in Minneapolis and you are at Red Cow, you want to look for a burger called the 60-40 burger, because it was incredible. It's 60% meat, 40% bacon.
Wow.
It was huge slab of candied bacon. It was unreal good.
All right. It's going to be worth the trip then.
I just wanted to say, so this is the night I'm going to tell everybody in the sound of my voice here. So we talked about these shows. The Hold Steady redid these shows. Like we said, they're doing the storytellers, which is amazing. It's kind of a newer thing with them, and they're reinventing themselves with that. The Saturday night shows are becoming epic. Their first night shows are becoming kind of sneaky good, kind of the underground stuff. So the band did amazing things all weekend. But I think the star of the weekend was the Unified Scene. Because guys, I'm telling you, and Gaspar, tell me if I'm using any hyperbole here, but everybody that was at this weekend show already knows what I'm talking about, but this Unified Scene, there is magic. There's something magic about it.
Yeah.
It's not, I know there's other groups that you belong to that where you have friends and stuff and you really enjoy your time, but this Unified Scene, it's something different. It's all I can say is magic. There's something, and this night was just, as we went around, running into all the names, and we should probably call out some of the names of the people we were hanging out with.
Yeah.
But
I mean, we can
It's
do
a
that.
long list.
I made a list. So, I mean, like, and if I leave you off this list, it's not because we did not have a good time with you. It's just because there was so
The
many
alcohol
people.
made them forget some people. Not on purpose. I've been drinking with Gaspar, so I know how quickly he forgets. So I could say that as somebody who's not there.
But I mean, there was so many people that to me, like the ones that I really missed were Kat and Beth, because it was that many people from like the regulars you see all the time. Little Rock Lizzie and TK from the Discord, and Lacey and Emily, Lee from Atlanta, Fur, who created the positive postings, and Dave's Cincinnati, right? Everyone
He's
knows
Kentucky,
Dave.
but he's a Cincinnati suburb. Yeah.
Okay.
Of Kentucky. Yep.
Rachel from Seattle, Garrett from New York, Matt and Sue from California, Mark from St. Paul, Allison, Mike from Roanoke, Buddy from Georgia, and everybody in the Woo crew. Bill Tanny, Damon. We got to talk about Damon from Denver. We hung out with him quite a bit. Real good dude, and he had that moment the last night at First Avenue. What did he do?
He held up the Nas Reed banner.
Yeah.
Wow. Did people get the reference? I imagine it from Minneapolis.
Craig called him out from the stage.
Wow, right.
We didn't mention that Craig took off his dress shirt, and underneath he had a T-shirt with it said "Killer Parties," and it had a picture of Nas Reed's face. Yeah. And Nas Reed kind of looks a little bit like Coolio, so it's pretty cool.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, the Timberwolves played a pretty big role in this weekend too, because it was night one would have been, if the Timberwolves did not win, they would have been playing right across the street from First Avenue.
And they are right across the street. I mean, it's like a short jaywalk apart from each other. So there would have been 32,000 people more. And me and Gaspar actually ended up getting free parking, which is if the Timberwolves would have been playing that night, we probably would have paid $50.
We were like $50, yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, just other people who were there that we want to shout out. Panama Phil, who we got to meet, and it was really cool to meet him. He's like a legend. Howard from the UK, Ella and Kyle,
Human Bowling Ball.
Yeah,
we talked about him, Howard the Human Bowling Ball.
Yeah, Ella and Kyle had his daughter there, which was very cool. It was kind of
very sweet, very
fun
sweet.
to watch her get into all this stuff. Hurricane Jess, of course, and Jeff, UK Rob and his girlfriend Fran. Dallas and Sabrina. We got to meet Sabrina, which is
I was going to ask if Dallas made it, because we haven't talked about him yet, and Dallas is usually known for being at all of these events.
He was at the whole thing. We spent a lot of good time at Dallas too. It was really fun to see him, and that's where I met Dallas. That's where it kind of all began for me and him. So that was fun. Of course, Martin Fitzgerald and Katie, Jeff North from St. Paul.
Martin. I'm waiting for the day we get to cross paths with Martin and have another.
Yeah.
He's working on a book.
Another Hood Rat quiz.
We're going to have him on. We've talked about that, and it's just a matter of picking the right time when he's not busy and we're not doing one of these crazy shows, but we'll have him on soon. Andrew T-Bob from the UK, Kevin from Chicago.
Kevin from Chicago never seems tired last night. That's a fun
Rylan Schaefer, Scott Sheehan, who we said did the video, and Stacy and Brandy from Victoria. We hung out with them the last night, and that might be a good segue into where did we go after the Red Cow, Mike?
Sex World? No, that was.
that was Thursday night. I saw that.
Mike did take me to Sex World, where there is a giant penis you can ride if you like. It's like one of those.
I didn't get that photo.
No, you didn't get that photo. But no. So we went, Jess decided that there was a tiki bar nearby, and she had never had a tiki drink before and wanted to do that. So we're like, all right, let's go find this tiki bar.
Please tell me Jess had a hurricane in a tiki glass, because that would be.
I don't know if she had a hurricane.
She had a tiki glass. Yeah, but this place was like, it didn't have any no signage, so it was too cool to have a sign out front. It wasn't
weird.
even, and that was it was a front. It was almost like a speakeasy, because you had to go through this Goodfellas bar that had no signage on it, and there was nobody sitting in there. It's just dead. And then you go through these curtains and another set of curtains, and all of a sudden you're in a tiki bar.
Yeah. So we were hanging out there with a bunch of people having tiki drinks.
Is it amazing to me that the girl from the UK found that place, but the guy who lives in St. Paul had no idea about the tiki bar?
I mean, I don't think, and we'll find out somebody else didn't know it was back there either. But was it the girls from Victoria? I thought one of them found it, but
So
Or
yeah,
was it
I mean, we
Jess?
were basically doing the Google Maps thing, but they were the ones who found
right.
it. But in fairness, like you're standing in front of this place, and this is the address, and we're like, yeah, this is it. But the bar is a very nondescript bar. Like the name of the bar isn't even clearly identified. It's like up in stone that you'd have to look up to see it up there. And like Mike said, when you walk in, it's just dead. It looked like where Billy Bats gets whacked. You know?
Yeah.
You know? And then behind those curtains is the tiki bar.
I said, oh, no.
So we hung out there, and then it was time to say goodnight. So we're like, all right, we're going to leave. And a few of us were walking out. And who's sitting at the bar outside of the tiki bar but Craig Finn?
Wait, in the dead bar that you guys are like, nobody's hanging out there's Craig sitting there by himself?
Yeah. It was kind of wild. We actually told him, like, there's a tiki bar back there. He's like, oh, I'm going to go check that out.
And so we sent him back there, and the two girls from Victoria, I think everybody had left, so he was just going to bust. I wonder what happened. He just busted on them.
Yeah, hopefully they had a good encounter with him, because it was a good time to probably say hello, because I think they were the only two. It was the two of them and Percy, I believe, were back there. And then like a fourth friend of theirs. There wasn't too many people left, so it was it probably was a pretty cool encounter. He had a big dude with him too. I don't know if that was his friend or his bodyguard, but
they were very good fellows looking the way they're sitting at the end of the bar all by themselves. Like,
yeah,
It's amazing.
But yeah, that was our weekend.
It sounds like a hell of a weekend. I mean, short of the fact that you let me down, that you didn't win any of the adventures or the pub quiz, kind of gave a black eye to the Hood Rat Recap podcast, which, I at least thought you guys would represent it. But you know what?
It was
you
fun to play the game. It was fun to play the game.
That's what the losers say. It's fun to play the game.
And I also left, Rylan wanted me to go running with him on Monday morning, and he texted me at 7:30, and I didn't see it till 9:30. It was after this. He didn't go with us to this late shenanigans, so we were out really late. But
But it sounds like it was a great weekend. And like I said, I didn't think I'd have FOMO of it until you told me about the Dave Perner part. But really, it just sounds like a great weekend, and you guys kind of had a lot of stories and a lot of adventure. And going back to what you were saying, Mike, if there's one thing about this band, it brings people together, and it doesn't matter where it is. It seems like the unified scene always finds a way to have a good time, no matter what, even if you end up in some back-end tiki bar where people usually go missing, but you guys made it out alive. So congrats.
there's just magic in this unified scene. That's what I realized this weekend.
Yeah. So, and then it'll be on to Philly next. I'll be going out to Philly with Heather and Jackson the end of June. So we'll be checking out the Constructive Summer shows out there. So hopefully a lot of those same people will be out there. Kev, you can come to Philly with us if you like.
I mean, I could. Philly might, you never know. I don't have to go to Birmingham now, so maybe I will. My Birmingham trip is going sideways, so maybe I will.
One more thing I wanted to mention before we forget, if you haven't seen it already, they did release the live from Atlanta of October 5th, 2024, that same weekend. So that's out there on Bandcamp. If you haven't checked it out, definitely go get it, because it's pretty good.
It sounds like it was a great weekend. Welcome back. I'm glad you guys made it safe. I'm glad, Mike, you had a good run with the Hold Sweaty. Yep, I'm glad you had a good sleep with the Hold Sweaty. And that's going to do it for us. It was great for me to hear about it. I didn't talk to anybody. Full disclosure, aside from some texts, I did not get a recap. So I heard it for the first time here. And when you guys listen to it, you'll hear it for the first time. And thanks all for checking us out. It's been great. We appreciate you listening. If you like what you hear, give us a like and a follow. I guess we also got to send a special shout out to Dave Gottlieb and the team who's helping us out with some stuff that we have going on with the podcast. He's been actually really important in making sure this show continues too. Aside from your support, we really do have to thank Dave and the band for kind of going to bat. We've had some stuff. We'll fill you guys in a future episode, but I did want to make sure we did throw a thank you to the whole Hold Steady team, because really they've done wonders for the podcast.
Yeah, and I just wanted to, like we kind of talked about that last episode. We got some behind the scenes stuff going on. I was just going to say, kind of seems like these free podcasts don't seem like they're all that free anymore by the time they get recorded out in suburban Minneapolis. But with what I saw this weekend, we're going to keep this podcast going no matter what, because there's magic in this unified scene, and this is the mouthpiece for the unified scene.
All right. Well, thank you guys for listening. If you like what you hear, give us a like, give us a follow. Really, as Mike said, we do this because the scene is great. We're fortunate to be the mouthpiece and just a really small part of it, but to us, it's an important part. That's why we fight for it when some of this stuff comes up, and whether it's money out of our own pocket or whatever, we want to make sure that this show continues. So if you like what you hear, give us a like, give us a follow, tell your friends, because we do this because you listen. And Gaspar, why don't you tell them where they can find us?
Yeah, so as always, the best jumping off point for anything Hood Rat Recap, our social media, past episodes, is our link tree, which is linktr.ee/the Hood Rat Recap. And just a reminder, we did recently launch a website, so you can find that at thehoodratrecap.com, where you can also find all of our stuff. You can find our socials, our episodes. We're going to put some photos up from this weekend up there, and if you'd like to submit some photos, we'll put those up as well, so definitely check that out. And one of the things you can find on that website is, what is it, Mike? That was a terrible setup.
Speak pipe. So Gaspar, I think you're referring to SpeakPipe, and we talked to dozens. We talked to 10 of fans this weekend, and like at least a bunch of them said they're going to send in a SpeakPipe. You know what? I haven't checked the SpeakPipe file. Let's see if anything came in. Whoa. It looks a little bare. Looks like we didn't get any. So get them in for the next show, and you will go right to the front of the line.
You know what, man? I think the speak pipe might have been down. You might have gotten speak pipes, but maybe the phone line was down. It's not the people; it's us.
Gotta go check. Make sure that thing's plugged in. All right. Well, I'm Gaspar. That's Mike. That's Kevin. And all you folks who are with us out in Minneapolis, all you guys and gals who are part of the unified scene, we are all the Hood Rat Recap.
Shower party!
But they were fun, and definitely check them out. There, you can find their stuff on Spotify and Apple Music. They are self-proclaimed. They are self-proclaimed post. I can't even speak today. They are self-proclaimed. Someone else say it, please.
Are they self-proclaimed?
It was a normal day without much going on. I was working the case of the missing hat. My hat. It wasn't on the hat rack, and I was missing it. It was a nice hat. The case of the missing hat would have to wait. It was Little Billy, a local newsie known around town for his cheap prices for the Sunday Gazette. He seemed like something was crawling up his neck.
Aw, gee.
Told ya. I asked him to have a seat and tell me what was causing him to flip his wig.
Seamus, you gotta help me. I took my girl to the picture show last night, and she's a real dish of a cookie, I tells you. Well, after the show, we was talking about it and all, and we had different ideas about what the picture was all about. She left me all steaming mad. I got to get her back, Seamus. I can't lose a dame like that.
I don't know why he was calling me Seamus, especially since my name is Sam. I had him relax and told him to check out the Or Is It movie podcast. It's run by the Canadian Movie Crew. Two nice Canucks who try to find the real story behind the story of them moving pictures from Hollywood. I also mentioned if he wants to hear reviews of the latest Tinseltown offerings, to check out their Film Studies podcast.
Oh, gee, thanks you a lot, Seamus. I'll be sure to check out the Or Is It movie podcast and the Film Studies podcast on Spotify and iTunes and everywhere else well podcasts can be found. By the way, nice hat, mister.
It was on my head the whole time. Don't I feel like a schmuck?